All right, ladies and gentlemen, Baron here. Happy Friday. Get off your titty balls and do something fun. But while you're at that, look at the T-29 experimental monster. That's what they're calling it. But guess what? It's premium, but it's going to come in a bundle on the store. So it's not like you're going to be able to just buy it in golden eagles. This thing looks pretty cool, though. Pretty big. Looks rather... similar to the T-32 and the Pershing, the T-26 and T-32 there. So American tank design at the end of the war stood out for its numerous intriguing projects, many of which were given material from but never reached the front, like this beast. One of these will be coming to War Thunder soon in the American tech tree as a premium vehicle, the T-29 heavy tank. So the T-29 was an experimental vehicle that was designed as a weapon against German heavy tanks at the end of the war. Alas, the prototype took until 1947 to build. At that point, the U.S. Army no longer had need for such an expensive and heavy tank. But that didn't mean that all their efforts were wasted. Elements of the T-29 design were used in the development of almost all later U.S. tanks during the Cold War. So, what, like the little step cousin to the Patton tanks? Maybe. But aren't we going to get the M60 Patton? I don't know. Anyway, so this tank stands out for its size. It's 64 tons. It's huge, even for a tank of this class. But all this weight didn't come about by accident. Its spacious turret was equipped with a 105 millimeter T5E2 cannon, incredibly powerful and frightening in its appearance alone. That's kind of cute, really. Additionally, the tank had impressive armor, almost 300 millimeters at the front of the turret. The front of the hull was also protected by thick armor plates set at a steep angle, although they were somewhat weaker than those installed at the front at the end of the German Tiger II. But the American tank does look truly frightening, right? So it'll be great. But in battle, it is, of course, better to rely on its powerful 105mm gun rather than its threatening appearance. Clearly. This devlog is almost like a joke, right? This cannon is more than sufficient to send any opponent at the same BR back to the hangar with just one successful hit. The T-95 and T-28 SPGs have similar guns. The other features of the tank in total allow classic heavy tank strategies to be used. Don't be afraid to expose yourself in the tank sense, to the enemy as long as you don't let them hit the weak spots of your armor. Cover medium tanks in attack and use your power to press for an advantage. Just make sure to hide the lower frontal armor plate and turret sides from the enemy. So I think what this is saying is, whoop, 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 this is a glass cannon. We've got a great 105mm main gun, so it's similar to what the M103 with its 120mm main gun. That's literally, if you read between the lines here and read what they're saying, this bad boy is going to be a premium glass cannon. I mean, could it still be fun? Yeah. I just really find the way that it was written, it's almost like hyping it up and like, but beware, dude, you're going to get shot and blow up like really easy, but you're going to be able to do that to them too. Like, this is a glass cannon, but at least it looks fierce, right? Did anyone else read that? That's just what I'm reading. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna try it out, obviously, to see what it's like. So, feel free to check out when this thing's out. I'll put out a video. So if you're like, and we'll go over it. We'll see if it's really worth, the monies, right? If it is worth the monies. So the dev blogs are starting to come out. 3 days ago, they released the Panzer IIIB. On the dev blog, and that thing was cute, but it wasn't really like a wowing, or I would almost even I would even ask, like, was it worthy of a dev blog? I don't really know. I don't really think it was, but that's just my opinion. And trust me, I'm one of those people who loves the low mid tiers. A lot of people are just like, let's grind to the top and like never look back, and it's like, dude, I feel like if you're doing that, you're doing it wrong, because there's some amazing tanks at the lower middle tiers, which are a lot of fun to play. So we've seen the Panzer IIIB, the ASU-57. We saw some cockpits the other day for planes that we already have. We've seen updates on the KV-2s. There's the German KV-2. and then the KV2 with the 107 millimeter. So this thing's got a 105. Granted, it's going to have much more modernized rounds, but the the KV2 has a 107 in it. I mean, that's kind of funny, right? I don't know. I find that a little ironic. But the good thing is that we're getting regular updates, and War Thunder has been like kind of changing their approach to things with regards to like how they launch a patch. Before it was just dev servers, and there would be like 3 or 4 different dev server iterations before the patch would get launched, and it was like a 1-2 month process. And now it's almost like it's like a 2 to 3 week process, and there's maybe 2, but there's always like at least one dev server, but usually there's maybe 2. And then they drop the patch after a slew of dev blogs. So that's kind of where we're getting everything. Not as much do we have the opportunities of seeing like what's on the dev server. And I really like that approach. I thought that was pretty fun to like not only read about a glass cannon like the T-29 experimental monster, which looks rather frightening, but actually to play the vehicles. And I kind of miss that. I do indeed miss that. I want to get on the dev server, and I want to try these things out right now. But there's some exciting modes that are coming out, and I think War Thunder needs these modes to come out, because you ever wonder why like there's team killing bastards on your team and why people are so salty sometimes in the game? It's because of the pressure that a grind free-to-play game that you can allow to put on you. It's very difficult to kind of enjoy sometimes when all you really care about is that future, resource. Like, oh, I can't wait to get to the next tank, so I'm not really enjoying what I have right now. Or I just unlocked this tank, but I got to grind up, and ace it out so that it's really fun to play. Oh, wait, I aced it out. Oh, wait, but now I can get that next tank, right? And so I think because of that, it's like a question you have to ask yourself. At what point are you going to enjoy it, right? At what point are you going to enjoy the vehicle you're playing? And World War mode would in theory and hopefully, and I pray to RNGesus that it would cure that ailment that we put on ourselves of, this is a video game. We should be enjoying this thing. And trust me, like, War Thunder is a lot of fun, but there are those people out there that you're just like, man, these people, they game the system, like spawn rapists. They'll go, like, if you're doing good, and they'll just go on the spawn and wait for you to spawn because they want that money. It's like a race, like all that stuff, man. It can be a little disconcerting at times, but And like I get like World of Tanks, this is a theory that I've kind of shared loosely before. World of Tanks is a competitive game. Everything's more or less balanced. It's hit point based, so it's much easier to do that than what War Thunder's doing. War Thunder is taking on an impressive challenge, trying to create realism in tank versus tank warfare, and then tank versus tank with planes warfare, and hopefully soon tank, planes, and ships all together. That's really the potential that everyone's been waiting, or some of us have been waiting 3 years for, is this World War mode and ships, and seeing how tanks, planes, and ships play all together. Now, is any of that really going to be balanced? Is war balanced? Is this World War mode going to be balanced? I mean, I think you should work on like more ways of making it immersive and interesting and fun, rather than trying to do a balanced, or like, I think War Thunder's investment in esports is wasted resources. That's my personal opinion. Gaijin doesn't share that opinion. Many of you might not share that opinion, and I respect that. We're all entitled to our opinions. The reason, and some of ours are dumb. Maybe mine's dumb, right? But I want to see who agrees with me. Think about it. There's planes out there that would trounce the air versus other planes, right? So, like, to have a balanced competitive game mode, you'd only ever really see maybe 2 or 3 planes at a certain battle rating, or tanks at a certain battle rating or something like that. There's very rarely going to be that ideal situation where you have a wide number of vehicles, in excess of 4 to 5 that could really be competitive and that you could alternate around. Plus, the maps aren't necessarily built for, I don't know, maps need a lot of work too if you're going to have an esports scene, right? So throw all that shit out the window, man, and focus on what no other game has really done since like Battlefield 1942, and create a World War II game. And World War II didn't have anti-tank guided missiles and Vulcan SPAAs. Now those are cool stuff, and you could always have two modes, right? World War II mode and Cold War mode, I guess you could call it, right? Which would be freaking amazing if you could apply the same concepts to a successful World War II World War mode in War Thunder, and then also do a Cold War one. Hell, man. ASU 57s, drop those things via parachutes behind enemy lines, you know? Give me that stuff. Give me glider-borne Locust tanks in the World War II mode. Give me amphibious assaults. Give me all that stuff. And just let us play for hours and hours and hours. That's a mode that I could play, an 8-hour session and thoroughly enjoy it. Because your goal isn't to grind up and open up that next vehicle. You already grinded up and you got a pretty good vehicle, and now you're going to put it in World War mode. And you're going to have a constantly changing battlefield, a dynamic battlefield, all of that, right? I think that's what I want War Thunder to grow into. And I'm actually curious, how many of you guys also share that vision? Or are you looking more for just small battles that are, as balanced as possible, that last, 10 to 15 minutes? They obviously have that mode already, and they could refine that. But, it's not like they're mutually exclusive, actually, now that I think about it. But anyway, that's just some musings. But, yeah, this was the T-29 experimental monster, a.k.a. the glass cannon, with a 105mm gun that has all the potential to one-shot enemies and get one-shot itself. And that's not outrageous of a vehicle. It is a glass cannon. They just kind of worded it in a really funny way that I thought was pretty amusing. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Do something fun, right? Do something fun. Don't be salty. Don't team kill your friends. Have a little bit of fun. Have a great weekend, and I will see you soon.